again, and I keep coming out to kind of reset the algorithm and to just make it about the beginning again. So this is for you. This message is for you. If you are a seasoned hairstylist who is done, if you're ready to retire and you can't, these messages are going to be the most beneficial to you. Don't get me wrong, any hairstylist in the business can listen to this and get a benefit out of it. But if you are a seasoned stylist, that's when this is going to click a little bit more, because seasoned stylists don't have just chair money. We also have hair money. The problem is that most of us was never, ever, ever trained to see it, okay? And so it sits there invisible and not unclaimed. You might think that the money gonna go unclaimed if you don't see the big picture. Just know that there's a company waiting to take that, right? So we just talked about how after a while when you keep doing hair, you start to feel like you're overqualified for the job. And usually people that are overqualified are underpaid. And so this becomes a problem because I don't want to be underpaid. And plus, I'm ready to start, living my own life for me. Because after realizing that your whole business is treating you like an employee, right? Most people realize this at the end when they want to retire, or you might realize it like when I did, like when I broke my ankle. I realized that these people are treating me like a worker, a high paid one, and they don't actually care what's going on. So, yesterday I was in a group and I was trying to bring up this subject about how hairstylists have invisible uh, assets that we're not tapping into most time, right? And the problem is that most seasoned stylists, they're not going to tap into this because you learned how to do hair before this was very visible. Now that the internet came out, this thing is very visible, okay? Now that the internet came out, it's very visible. So if you started doing hair before the internet came out, this probably going to benefit you most, because something happened. You started feeling underpaid. You started feeling like I'm too much for this, that even though I love my clients, it got to be something else. That's how I started feeling at the age of 28, after building my clientele as big as I could, and then realizing that no matter how big I built this clientele, this don't feel like a boss move at all. So building my clientele did not feel like a boss move anymore. So that was one of the ways that I learned that there gotta be something else, right? Okay, so right now you might be feeling stuck behind basically. You feel behind, that you missed something, that you just did all of that here and now you missed something, right? um hold on. Did I name this video? I don't think so. All right, so if you, like me, you became a seasoned stylist, you loved the job, you loved everything about it, and then you realize that this is a freaking job, okay? Even though my name is on the shop and I'm the owner, if I was to stop right now, everything is going to stop. And after we put so much money into building our income, it can't just stop like that, right? But the truth is, it actually can, because my chair money anyway. My chair money came to a screeching halt, and chair money actually will do that for you if you don't get out of it. It will come to a screeching halt, and you will not be prepared for said halt. Okay, so if you're feeling stuck, doing appointments and not getting your full worth, if you got to the point where you was ready to buy a house and you didn't have any of this stuff set up, because that's when it really hit us that this might not have been the best idea, is when you trying to make a big purchase as a hairstylist. You trying to make a big purchase, you make all this money, and unless you structured it properly, you probably can't even get approved, right? That's what's going on with a lot of hairstylists these days, is that we make a lot of money, but our books are not set up correctly, right? The other thing that happens with a lot of hairstylists is that you come into the business with an employee mindset and you leave out the business with an employee mindset. So I'm going to talk about what that looks like. So that might look like, even though you should have trademarks, you only have clients, right? Even though you should be doing hair expos, right? You're only doing clients. Even if you got a product line, you're only selling it to your clients. These kinds of things is the behavior that leaves a hairstylist with no way to retire. Okay, so if you're doing those kinds of things and you're a hairstylist who wanted to retire, or you started getting tired of being and I hate when they say behind the chair, because I don't think that we ever say that we're behind the chair. That's an outside looking in, perspective. Whenever I hear somebody say, you want to get from behind the chair, I always know that they're marketing to hairstylists. They're not actually a hairstylist, because hairstylists don't want to get from behind the chair. I don't think that that's what we want. I think that we don't want to be a slave to the chair, which is different. So not that I want to get from behind it, but I don't want it to control me. If that makes sense. So, hey, if you are a seasoned stylist who wants to solidify your legacy, which means that you want to have something to show for it. Okay, so let's rephrase that. So if you're a seasoned stylist who decided that it was over for you in the hair industry, you might have walked away already, you might not. You wanted to solidify your legacy, meaning that you wanted to have something to show for everything that you just done, all those years you just put in. You want to have something to show for it, right? So if that's you, then I want you to listen up, okay? Because I know you're tired of thinking about the fact that you just did all of that work and now you might have to go back, or you might have to go to the job force after you just did all of that work. And a lot of us are not 20 no more. We in our 40s and 50s deciding that we don't want to do hair no more and not having an exit strategy. So what I'm doing now is I'm helping you create your exit strategy. Even if you already quit doing hair, you still got assets if you stayed long enough in the industry. Okay? You stayed long enough in the industry, that means that you created something that can retire you. You just probably wasn't taught to. Or a company that you work with, they're receiving the benefits and not your family, right? Because I know y'all got to be tired of working at companies, working for companies, had them walk away with millions while you still got to haggle your customers, right? Or maybe you already left. If you already left, then I know what you got tired of. You got tired of the unstable income, right? You got tired of every time you think that you are going to get ahead, something would happen. Maybe the clients start calling out, something like that, and you weren't able to. So you start realizing that the only way for my money to be stable is for me to keep working forever, right? And that's the opposite of retiring. That's the opposite. So the first thing most stylists do is take on more responsibility, right? Another opposite of retiring, take on more responsibility. Or what you do is you start selling something that goes with the appointment, which is an upsell, right? However, it's still going to require you to do hair. So you're not getting this part right here, right? We're not getting this part. Now, this is the thing. I know that most seasoned stylists I know that did go back to get a job, they never stopped doing hair fully. They always was doing somebody here on the side, somebody family, some client who is a friend of theirs who, so you never fully stop doing hair or stop being in demand to do hair, right? The problem is that even though you're in demand, you don't have a way to work. You don't have a way to let your money work for you. So after a while, you're going to start feeling underpaid, right? With seasoned stylists, another thing that makes you feel silly is that you realize you're competing with people that ain't been in the industry as long as you, right? You're competing with them because guess what they trying to do? They trying to get clients. Guess what you trying to do? You trying to get clients. So this is for you if you want to stop that little rat race that you in of trying to get clients.